There I am. Hello, Jane McLeod from RBC Group. Thanks for being here. I know it's been a bit of a challenge for a lot of people with, I'm going to say it, coronavirus. So I was actually meant to be in Budapest this week. So initially when Heather reached out, I wasn't able to attend. Sadly, I said, look, I'm not able to attend. And then to your benefit, that was cancelled. So they've optimistically rescheduled it for July. So that's promising. So they must have the crystal ball that no one else has right now. So we'll see how that goes. So a little bit about myself. So a little bit about the company that I work for. So RBC Group is it's 45 years strong. We originated in Brisbane. And our core pillar of our business is managed print service, so MPS. So in the last probably the last couple of decades, we've really started trying to move into more of a technology space. So we don't just want to be flinging printers. We don't want to be that traditional MPS model because it is declining. So it is seeing a bit of a decline and more of a move into digital transformation. So we partnered about half a decade ago with a company called HP, and I'm really glad that Kirsty was before me today because I don't need to explain what HP is. You can see that they're a massive technology company, and it's really where we wanted to go. So last year we were awarded the A3 Print Sales of the Year for partners with HP, and also the Managed Print Service Partner of the Year as well. So that was a huge achievement up against a lot of partners in Asia Pac. So we were really proud of that and proud of our team for that as well. So a little bit about me. Next month, I'll be celebrating 20 years with RBC Group. So I can see a couple of you doing the reverse engineering right now. How old was she when she started? 11. I was 11. So look, I see it a lot. Every time I present, I can see people going, okay, she must be 42. I'm 38 tomorrow. So yeah, that's me. I started when I was 18. So I feel like I'm in pretty good stead to talk about what it's like, firstly, coming into the workplace as a young person, and secondly, what it's like to work in a workplace where everybody else is somewhere like a couple of decades older than you and trying to find a place at the table. I find another really great way to get to know someone is to have a look at their word cloud. So I don't know if anyone's done a word cloud on themselves. So the name of the app escapes me because one of my colleagues did this for me, but it basically scrapes through your social medias and finds those kind of words that you use quite repetitively, things that, you know, and you don't even realise you're using them. So that's my word cloud. I was really happy. So the things that you use quite a bit are in the larger font pitch, and then everything else is a little bit smaller. So it gives you a bit of an idea. That didn't work. Sorry, let me go forward. So you can see margaritas get a bit of a run in there as well. So all for good. That's the team building part of Fridays, end of the week. Puppies get a run as well. So you can see my interests are wide arcing. Down the bottom, we've got things like microfluidics. So that's a technology that HP is moving in because of their advanced ink-based technology. They're actually doing some really meaningful stuff in that sort of stuff. So you can see it's all over the place. You can also see that there's a fair amount of travel or destinations in there as well. So because we do have our offices across most of the east coast of Australia, I do get to do a little bit of international travel as well. Budapest is on there, but I didn't get there. So forget that one. But everything else, that's kind of a bit of me in a nutshell to kind of get to know me. I'm also an extremely passionate person. I'm also an extremely clumsy person. So most presenters will agree that something always goes wrong with your presentations. There's always one little thing that goes wrong. For me, I brutally snapped a fingernail. So if I look a little distracted, it's because my pulse is coming through this right now. So if I do seem a little bit distracted or I hit my hand on something and wince, that's why. So hopefully that's all that goes wrong in this presentation today. But when I was kind of talking about this, and I kind of use my worst critic, my husband, to kind of go through my presentations. And I was talking to him about the fourth industrial revolution, the third industrial revolution, and he said, wait, back it up, pump the brakes, chuck it in reverse. I need to know what you're talking about. What are these industrial revolutions? So I thought I'd take you on a little bit of a timeline journey of it and then break it down a little bit as well to give you a bit of an understanding of where we are at the moment. So in your 18th century, your kind of industrial revolution is defined by your power source, and it changes the way that you live as a human. So you've got your steam. So we went to steam power. So that revolutionised transportation, all of that sort of stuff. You've also got your cotton gin. So anyone who doesn't know what a cotton gin is, that's the invention, the contraption that was able to more efficiently separate cotton fibres from seed. So we were able to clothe ourselves a lot more efficiently. Then we got in the early 1900s factory. So that's basically your large factories. I'll go a little bit deeper into that. Then you've got your digital as well, where we're kind of sitting now. And then you've got your fourth industrial revolution in the 2020s. I say 2020s because it's kind of happening now, kind of not happening now. So what is an industrial revolution? I kind of just said it, but it's basically a period in time that defines how we live as a human. So it's not, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It changes the way that you live. It becomes ingrained in the way that you live. So the first one, so we talked about that. So that was basically your steam power. So with your steam power, that brought about coal. So that's our power source, our resource, the cotton gins, and it also industrialised the textile manufacturing. So that one was a pretty important one, but then there was a massive gap until we had anything new. So the next big one was the second industrial revolution, and this one was particularly important. This basically took us from coal to oil. So it changed our power source to electricity as well. We're a bit more efficiently powered. We also got a societal class structure. So we had blue collar, white collar with our manufacturing, mass manufacturing. Sadly, Ford isn't in it anymore, and Holden, but that kind of production assembly line, that's where it was kind of born. So steel production as well. So we're able to build better structures. We're better able to live as humans. The third industrial revolution, so you got internet/Netscape. So I think everyone remembers that kind of dial-up noise. It's kind of, that really rocketed us into the next industrial revolution. We had solar power or renewable energy. So things like your wind, solar, water as well being used to power, and personal computing as well. So I can see, lots of people around the room able to pretty much compute from anywhere, which is fabulous. And being with HP, that's a really big core of their business as well. So the fourth industrial revolution. So this is where we're kind of on the cusp of things now. So with your fourth industrial revolution, you can see I put a heap of things in there because there's so much going on, but there'll be a couple of those points that just become ingrained in our everyday life. So things like artificial intelligence or AI, we would have all experienced it at some point. In fact, the app that I use or the website I use to create my PowerPoint today uses artificial intelligence. So if anyone out there is a bit of a novice at PowerPoint, like I am, I usually get someone else to do it for me. This one uses AI to basically build it for you and say, look, I think this would look better here. I think this would look great. And it can actually, say you wanted to change the font throughout your entire presentation, it will do it for you. You don't have to go to each slide and do it. So for anyone that's interested, it's called beautiful.ai. So I don't work for them, but I think it's amazing. So with your artificial intelligence, also things like your chatbots. So I think everyone's experienced a chatbot. Has anyone not experienced a chatbot? No, it's there. So it's there. Just about every organisation's looking at getting a chatbot to kind of take over, automate those really menial tasks. For us, it's when a client wants to call up and book a service call. So if they want to book a service call, a chatbot can easily do that, ask a serial number, kind of chuck in a few details, and they get more and more intelligent as they go. Genetic sequencing, being able to eliminate or identify genes, change them, make them do something else. That's all happening now as well. Quantum computing, so that's taking off. 3D printing is really huge. So, hello, Cassie. I know you're from HP, so you know all about 3D printing. So 3D printing is not what it used to be anymore. With your 3D printing, it's moving into that additive manufacturing stage. So you're looking at another type of manufacturing, mass manufacturing that's going to come about. And we're battery powered. So think Tesla, all that sort of stuff. So we're looking at a new power source as well for us moving out of oil and into something else. So you can see basically with the future's here, but it's not very evenly distributed. I really like this quote because you'll find that some societies are here, some are still here. Some are already really well embedded here as well. But what you might find is that in some areas of the world, some people have better access to an iPhone than they do basic sanitation. So you've got a bit of a blend. You've got a little bit of a blend of where they're sitting. Some places don't have fibre yet, so they're not really connected. So there are parts of the world that are pretty disconnected. So once you can kind of understand what kind of landscape we're looking at now, we can take a look at the different generations as well. So does anyone here have some Gen Zs coming into the office now? Now, Gen Zs would be about 18 to 20 years old. Yeah, you've seen them come through. Yeah, definitely. So it's brought about a way that we have to change as well, because basically I'll take you through the different generations, but I do want to preface this by saying it's not helpful to generalise. So I don't like to generalise, bias, all of that sort of stuff. But it's good to get a bit of a snapshot to kind of see what their values are, what their attributes are, what they value as well, what motivates them. And it just helps to build a better sales force, essentially. So with your multi-generational workforce, because with my sales team, I've got close to 40 in my sales team, and I've got 4 generations in that sales team. So it means, if I was standing up here talking to them today, I wouldn't be able to deliver one set content. I'd have to be able to deliver different sets of content to them. And you do need to kind of tailor the way that you engage with them as well, because everyone has their different motivations. Everyone has their different why are you here? And then once you know their why, you can work on the how. How do we get to your why? So this is kind of, there is another generation before this, the traditionalists. I left it out of here because they're typically over 80. Our financial controller is 75, so it's not impossible. It's not impossible. He was the original guy. He brought RBC from South Africa to Australia. So even though he's in the workforce, I think he still will be there when he's 80. I don't think he shows any signs of slowing down. I think he's worried if he does stop, he might slow completely down. So with your baby boomers, so there's still a very large portion of baby boomers in the sales industry, any industry essentially. So what they value, they do value individual choice. They like to set targets. They like to think, they like to work independently as well. They love community involvement as well. So the baby boomers were kind of the first activists as well, kind of campaigning for women's rights, abortion rights, all those sorts of things. So they, as much as they're given a bit of grief, they were the first to kind of champion the community. They value loyalty and respect. So whether that comes from time in the job or how hard they've had to work to be there, given limited resources when they started out. And health and wellness, which, look, I think everybody values that, but it's really one of the top priorities for your boomers. Their attributes, they are highly adaptive. So especially to a diverse workforce as well, there's not a lot of pushback there. And they're very goal-oriented. So they'll say they want to achieve something and they'll get there. And yeah, they do focus on individual choice and freedom as well. So they like to work fairly autonomously. Your Gen X, so there's quite a large portion of Gen X in the room. Now, also, I wanted to just say as well, if you're looking at kind of this and putting yourself in a category and you go, that's not me, you're probably 100% correct. So these are not hard and fast categories. So you might find that you've got the values and attributes of a different generation, and that can come from external influences like family, society, the circle of friends that you kind of gravitate towards. So that can influence the way your core values as well. So don't be alarmed if you go, that's not me at all. No way, I'm not independent. I need you to tell me what to do. So yeah, Gen X, they're very independent, very, very independent, but they do value feedback and recognition. So a recent study did kind of highlight the fact that a lot of the Gen X, I can't remember the actual stat, my apologies, that your Gen X, they maybe have had 1 or 2 promotions in their working career and they feel they should have had more, they feel they've been overlooked. So adding those kind of incentives for that generation, career progression, all of that sort of thing, is going to be really helpful to motivating them. Resourcefulness, they're hugely resourceful. Set a task and they get it done. And flexibility, they value flexibility. What you find is they've got family, often young family, so they need that work-life balance, and they really do value that. They're adaptive, they're independent, and they're autonomous. So they a little bit like your baby boomers as well. Gen Y. So this one's a really, this is kind of like two generations in one. So some people do try and break down your Gen Y and your millennials. They're the same. So they're technically the same, but what you'll find is because they're born between 1980 and 2000, which that's loosely, try not to Google too much about this because you do go down the rabbit hole of when these generations actually start. You will go down the rabbit hole. So I had to kind of settle there. But born between 1980 and 1990, you'll find that they probably categorise themselves more here. They'll go, there's no way I'm a millennial. I'm 38 tomorrow and I'm technically a millennial, but I never felt that I was a millennial. So, but I am apparently. So commitment and loyalty is big. So I can resonate with that. Being with a company for 20 years, I'm fairly loyal. Either that or they just won't let me leave. Work-life balance as well. So being able to, basically with work now, work is something you do, not somewhere you go, and you've got that hypermobility now. So you're able to work from anywhere. I can see, people are getting a little bit of work done in this room today. So you don't actually have to be sitting at a physical desk to get your work done. And that's the modern workplace. Honesty and integrity, that's a huge one. And look, that's a huge one when we're talking sales as well. When you're engaging with clients, honesty and integrity is really important. Culture and diversity. So not saying that the other generations aren't interested in that, but it's really where we start getting a movement towards better culture, better work culture, better life culture, and diversity. So yeah, they adapt rapidly. They're able to be really agile, crave change and challenges. I know I do personally. I like a good challenge. So if you're set in the one menial task, you're going to find your level of, motivation takes a bit of a nosedive. Exceptionally resilient as well. So particularly for myself, I've seen a lot of the economic change go through business, global financial crisis, all that sort of thing. And so you kind of lean on that resilience from your organisation as well. Adapt rapidly as well. Creating constantly. So that's a big one. Always creating content, always creating ideas and generating that interest. Did I put that twice? No, that's right. Sorry, I thought I wrote that twice. It's double vision. Being able to create constantly and in lots of different meaningful ways as well. So Gen Z, this one's a little bit hard because they're only just coming into the workforce now. Basically, they were born with an Ethernet cable as their umbilical cord. So they have never been disconnected. So as part of that, they actually crave human contact. So if you're not engaging with your Gen Zs, you'll find that they quite visibly disengage back to the screen. Because they're constantly living in those online worlds, you find that you need to bring them back out. They like face-to-face contact. They like to talk to their manager as well. They like to believe that they're listened to and heard as well. They crave opportunities to learn. So I know that there's a lot of opportunities within our organisation to learn and to grow as well. And they really do crave those opportunities. They're innovative. So I don't know how many of you do have Gen Zs in the workplace, but they come up with some wild ideas. And some of them are like, no, pump the brakes, not that one. But then others, they're actually coming up with ways to do things that you kind of stop and go, why didn't we think of that? I just wasn't as geared as they were to come up with an idea like that. So being able to kind of foster that and encourage that, it's going to mean a diverse workplace is basically a workplace of the future. If you consider that there's this many generations in your own workplace, then your clientele is changing as well. So it means that you're getting a shift in the generations with your clientele. So having these out-of-the-box thinkers that are really motivated by creating and collaborating as well, it's going to give you that little bit of an edge as well. So this is a little bit old. I did this a little while ago, and it's not every workplace, but it's about the generational mix. So with your generational mix, you're going to see a really big shift in the millennial Gen Y. They say that in the next, not very far, they're going to take up more than 50% of the workplace, which I can see, definitely. And then you'll see a little bit of a decline in your boomer and a bit of a decline in your Gen Z, but your Gen Z is going to come roaring into it as well, definitely. So does that look about on par for your own organisation, or a little bit? It's really hard. It's one of those things, you could almost do a little bit of a poll through your organisation, and it's also interesting to see where they sit. So you'll find, your boomers are in your CEO roles, your higher end roles, and then you've got that tapering down into your other generations as well. But there are challenges when it comes to a multi-generational workplace. So company culture, that's a really big one. We hear a lot of chat about culture. What can we do about it? And it's one of those things that you don't want to just be box ticking. You want to actually be affecting change within your organisation with your thinking. So the younger generation, they're finding that they want to go work for a place that has good culture. They do want to work for a place that has good culture. It inspires them. They want to be in an inspiring workplace as well. Their communication style. So the communication style between the generations is totally different. So you'll have, one employee that will walk up to your desk every time they have a question. Just walk up to your desk. Instant messaging, WhatsApping, text messaging. I had one of my cadets, he did a complete deal over text message. I've never seen anything like it before. But maybe that's the type of person he was dealing with. That's the type of client that he was dealing with, that they live on text message. So fair enough. And that's that kind of new wave thinking as well, that, connect anyway. We've also got, some of our team using LinkedIn to actually do a lot of their business-to-business selling. And other portions of our business don't even have either a LinkedIn profile. They look at it once every 6 months just to check it all still looks good, accept all their friends. Negative stereotypes is another big one as well. So I've tried to keep everything in here when talking about generations really positive. So I just put in their attributes and their values. I didn't put in anything else, nothing detrimental in there, but you do get it as well. So usually when I kind of present this content, I talk about Gen Z, there's a bit of a light groan around the room. So it's really hard to kind of separate those negative, I can see a couple of smiles, but those negative stereotypes. So that can be really hard, and it can be an obstacle in the workplace, especially when you have, your seasoned professionals who, maybe their whole sales journey was watching Jim Rohn videos, Zig Ziglar, all that sort of stuff. They couldn't really Google, 4 core selling tips and kind of get it all in one go. So there can be that negative stereotype that they've worked harder for it, and that the new wave of sales cadet is getting it pretty easy, but they're not. Expectations is another big one as well. So managing expectations, the expectations for some generations is that work really, really, really hard for a really long time, and then you get the results that you want in your personal or career development. It can be different in your other generations as well, where it's like, I've completed that task, now I want that promotion. So it can be really tricky to navigate as well. So it's probably important to set the expectations early, the criteria, what you want to achieve from your team. With the challenges though, there's benefits. So there are benefits to having a multi-generational workforce as well. So it drives innovation. So I was talking about the out-of-the-box thinking, the ways that they're engaging with clients. They're really driving that innovation that's going to change the way that we work going into that fourth industrial revolution, because everything is going to be changing. A healthy talent pipeline. So you were talking about talent pipeline earlier. So much more healthier cross-section of talent and abilities throughout your workforce. The advanced collaboration as well. So I like that one. Collaboration is like one of my favourite words, collab, get together, get it all done. So being able to collaborate in that multi-generational workforce, you're getting really excellent results. You're getting, it kind of leans into this mentorship here. You're able to actually have mentorship opportunities within your own sales force. So within my sales force, there's nearly 40 of them. And I find that I like pairing them up. I like pairing them up and just saying, look, this person here can learn from this person and this person can learn from this person. And then I shake it all up for them, set them tasks, learning tasks, all sorts of things like that. And you really get some pretty abstract results at times. Other times it's incredibly good. So look, with the challenges, there are benefits. So it's taking the good with the bad, but also working on those challenges as well. And one of the biggest challenges I'm finding, and I'm not sure if everybody else is, but it's incentivising this multi-generational workforce, because typically, well, look, your typical management sales construct was usually you have your GM, MD or CEO, then your sales managers and everyone underneath them. And it was essentially the SMS approach, which is sell more stuff. I'll give it the PG rating, sell more stuff. And then they'd throw up the Glen Ross video and hope that inspired everyone. I don't know if anyone's watched that. You have. Yeah, it probably should be retired. It's pretty bad. If you want to look at it for a laugh, don't show it to your sales team, because it is the most unmotivational, uninspiring. It's basically Alec Baldwin coming in as this, would it be 80s, 90s salesman, arriving in his Porsche with his Rolex on, just beating them all around the ears and telling them, as of today, you're fired. You're going to get your job back. It's terrible. It's terrible. But look, funnily enough, I did sit in on a client sales meeting about a couple of weeks ago, and up popped Glen Ross, and I could see everyone sinking into their chairs, because it's just not the language that we use anymore. It's just not how you motivate a sales team. It's not how you inspire them. It's not how you affect any sort of change, other than a change in your workforce, because they've taken off. So yeah, looking to the benefits though, there's a lot of benefits to a multi-generational workforce, but yes, being able to incentivise them, because look, having incentives, being able to incentivise a product is really important, because otherwise you get stuck in the follow the bouncing ball and sell all this stuff, chalk it up on the board and off you go. You can't eat chalk, right? So, and also with your younger generation, well, look, even myself, everyone likes a little social media content, they like to be able to go, hey, look what I've achieved, and no one stands beside a sales board ringing the bell going, look what I achieved today and the day before and the day before. So how do you incentivise them? So it's getting a bit creative as well, because different incentives motivate different people. And it's not even a generational thing. It can be a personal thing. It can be what they value and what their why is for why they're doing what they're doing. So some of the ways that I've looked to is experiences. So everybody loves a good experience. So with our team, we like to set some really great experiences, because then they like to chuck it up on social media. They like to show their friends their career progression, their perks. Everyone likes a perk. So recently we set a target for the team, and we didn't tell them what they were doing, but we said it's going to be a great experience. In all honesty, we didn't know how much they were going to sell and what our budget would be. So we had to kind of go, yes, it's going to be amazing. It's a big surprise. We were able to take them all to the Hunter Valley, chopper them out to a winery. They were able to have a really great time. And it was a really great kind of team building as well. So I found any kind of fractures that we had throughout the sales team, whether that be generational or different values, just different ways that they operate and sell, it brought them back together. So it was actually hugely beneficial both to them and to me. I was able to glue them all back together pretty much, because you get through the year and the sales cycle is tough. It's tough. You get a lot of rejection, a lot of demoralising moments as well. So being able to pretty much glue these broken people back together with those sort of experiences was really important. Career advancement. So that one there is a big incentive. it's not even a money-based thing, it's a status thing. They want to see that what they're doing is actually meaningful. So I'm finding that our younger generations, they're not just working to make money and change their lives. They want to work to make change, to affect change, to change the world. So it's really ambitious, but I love it. They want work with meaning. So they want to know that this task that they're doing means something to someone, that it's not just sit here and punch in this code and we'll see what pops out at the other end. They don't like that. So that takes you to the upskill opportunities. So with your upskill opportunities, this can be training, sending off to training programs, management programs, all of that sort of thing. Most employees or most sales cadets or sales employees will say that they want more training, but they want structure. They want structure and flexibility. So I know that's a bit of an oxymoron. So fluxture. I'm sure you can smash that together somehow. But they want that structure of training as well. So even though I am responsible for a lot of the sales-based training with our team, they don't really like the same talking head at them every Monday morning. So we kind of keep it nice and fresh and kind of keep it structured as well, that they can do actual certifications and upskill themselves. Recognition, that's a really big one. That's a really, really big one. So I think most of us would agree, if your boss at least once a year doesn't give you a pat on the back and tell you that you're doing a good job, you think you're doing a bad job, or you just feel underappreciated. So recognition, awards, we have it's Salesman of the Month. I will be honest there. The board still says salesman because it hasn't changed. It should be Salesperson of the Month. But having that kind of recognition, and it's a bit of fanfare that we have who gets Salesperson of the Month. And the final one there, and I put it down the bottom for a reason, was the financial reimbursement or kickback. Because studies have shown it's not actually the best way to reward someone. But look, I'm never going to say no to some kind of financial kickback. If someone says, you've won $1,000, I'll say thanks very much. But it doesn't really motivate them. It's probably a mix of your financial reimbursement with experience would probably be the better way to go about it there, definitely. Now, I trimmed everything down a little bit today because I know we're running a little bit short on time. But does anybody have any questions for me or anything you'd like me to backtrack on? No? I'm good. All right. So that's all my details there. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you would like a copy of my slides. You're more than welcome if you find them useful at all. I saw a couple of people taking photos. I can give you the full slide deck if you like. So feel free to add me on LinkedIn. Feel free to add me on Facebook as well, but it's less professional and more just general hijinks. Make sure you get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.